Well, one aside I'd say is I started telling my wife about my next idea for a software company, and she said, "No, you have to learn how to drive again. You have to learn how to feed yourself again. No talking to me about new software ideas until you're a fully functioning human on your own. And then if that's what you want to do, I support you." She's awesome.
She's a smart wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took almost 18 months after the accident for me to be in a position where I was then able to start. So then I went to one of the smartest guys I've ever known. He was one of my employees. I hired him when he was 21. And I asked him if he was interested in doing a startup with me. And so we laid out an MVP basically for what features would we need to get this guy who was the therapist and a couple of other doctors who I'd gotten to know, all of which had something to do with my recovery, features that would make a difference for them. And so we defined an MVP, and he talked me into one other engineer that could join the team. And we built something in 2 weeks that started the basis. We, of course, rewrote it 5 times, but we started the basis of where we were going to go. I'm really the sales guy. I'm not the engineer. I have an engineering degree, but I'm not the engineer. So I also started reaching out to a lot of other people who had nothing to do with my recovery, just to assess what they were doing. And I got a really good sense of that the market was there. There was a gap. People didn't know what they were doing. People didn't even know what I was talking about. Half the time I'd have to explain it to them, and then they'd say, "Oh, I need that."
Hey, help me understand that piece, because I think that's one of the pieces I really want to understand is you found a gap. What did it look like? What did it feel like? What did it sound like?
Yeah, so one of the first places I went outside of my own network was to a friend of mine who ran a large orthopedics group in Las Vegas. And he was the CEO of the group. And I called him and just talked to him about, well, what do you do to power growth? You're in 4 locations in the Vegas area. You've got 1 surgery center. What's your next move to go from the 19 or 18 docs? You have to add capacity, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And he basically said, I don't know. I keep paying this agency this money, and I don't really see a return on the dollars. They've done nice things on my website, but they run some ads, and I can't really tell whether the ads are working. They're not even really enabling him to win search. Like, the easiest thing to do would be, what can you do to win more searches in the Las Vegas area for orthopedic needs, and therefore drive more traffic to your practice? That's the very basics. And so now we look at it, it's 2025, and we're like, well, people were not thinking about search marketing. In healthcare, it always trails. So even though search marketing was legitimately a thing in 2013 and 2014, most healthcare organizations didn't even have it on their radar.